Whether you're a black belt or just starting off, there's something for everyone.
We are delighted to reintroduce the MATCHAT podcast, an exciting, fresh format where we've put together a range of chats that are both informational and fun.
Let us take you through episodes packed with insightful interviews that will help expand your knowledge base and challenge your perspective on this dynamic combat art.
So get your uniform on, tie your belt, and bow into
the MATCHAT.
Hey guys, welcome back to the MATCHAT, our martial arts talk. I'm AJ, your friendly neighborhood kicker, and I'm here with my co-host Kiaya.
And for those of you who don't know me, I'm a professional grappler, fitness coach, and content creator.
Yeah, so Kiaya, today we actually have a fun topic, but a very, very important topic. So we're going to be talking about how to be a better training partner, not necessarily talking about love advice, because I definitely am not one of those people to talk about. But we can talk about wonderful martial arts partner advice, since I believe you and I both have good and bad experiences with that. So yeah. So I guess our first topic actually is the most simplest thing that people can do to be a fantastic training partner. It's just good hygiene, man.
Yes, 100%. That is the first thing that you notice about your training partner. That's like the first impression. So that's super important. Nobody wants to train with the partner that's not practicing good hygiene.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know you've probably trained with like a lot more adults, like especially recently right now, right? And like, I think obviously as an adult, I would like to think that you've grown up and matured and known how to take care of yourself. So it's not a problem that you run into too often, but it still happens. And like, I mean, one particularly, I think as just girls, right? Like, there's the hair and the nails that I think are always a biggie and a big issue. It's like, okay, long hair, I'm all for it. I like keeping my hair particularly short just because it's easier to maintain for training and shit. But like, just making sure you're tied up, or at least wash it if you're going to be grappling or anything of that sort, because yeah, you don't want to have your face stuffed in that, and it's just like, what in the world's going on here?
Yeah, and also keeping it like dry. Like eventually, because I do train in like the South, it gets all sweaty and stuff like that. But initially coming in, making sure that the hair is dry.
Yeah.
Like if I'm coming in dry, I don't want wet hair on my face. That's a really big one. I'm like,
wait,
okay.
like a mop bucket. I haven't had issues actually with that. Now I think about it, I haven't had someone come in with like just a wet head of hair. What?
Yeah, there have been times, and I get it. Like sometimes you shower right before class, and then you want to like make sure your hair is not smelling all funky, and that's fine. But like at least try to dry it a little bit. There have been a couple of times, not in this gym, but in past gyms I've visited and stuff. I'm like, oh, your hair is like really wet. It's just like, oh, okay.
I mean, at least they showered right beforehand with it. But
yeah, and I appreciate that. I love to shower before coming to train. I like to know that I'm fresh.
It's like the rule at the pool that not everyone actually follows. Like, shower before you get into the public pool, please. Like, so you get away all that nasty gunk. Because obviously it is a physical sport, right? So sweating is going to be inevitable to run into. So it just happens, right? We're humans, we're mammals that have sweat glands and stuff, and it just goes. But at least if you start out as a clean slate, there should not be anything to be too worried about at that point.
Exactly.
But like,
also kind of like keeping the gear super clean is super important. Like,
I feel like there's a story with that, because I have not run into ear clean things. What in the world are you talking about?
Like, no. The gear. Keep it like.
Oh, I thought you said ear. I was like,
no.
Are you?
No, we're not like in the ear. It's fine.
Oh my gosh.
A little wax never hurt anybody. That's fine.
It's like, oh, you're putting a rear naked choke and like, what in the world is this person's ear there? That's what I
what
thought.
Is this in your ear?
You said gear, okay. So, but yeah, gear. So, if you want to expand on that a little bit more, and then I'll piggyback off of that a bit.
Well, we don't train in like the traditional gi or anything like that. It's mostly just like rash guards, tight fitting clothes. But man, once you're all sweaty and stuff like that, it really holds on to the smell. So not only do you have to like make sure that you're clean, you gotta make sure that your rash guards and your shorts and stuff is like clean. You have to put those. Sometimes I have to soak my rash guards because it's hard to get the smell out. Like it smells like a bunch of other people. So Yeah, it's really bad.
Oh my god. No,
oh, this smells like Travis.
Dude, like in the winter, I know before, like when I was like in boy camp, and even like with my karate stuff too, like with training, like sport karate, like I would have like certain gis that I kind of just like left in my sparring bag after I like get changed after class, and then you forget about it, right? But then in the winter, you go back into it, and you're like, oh, what's this? It's like, and like, oh dang, that is that's solid, and that should probably get washed really with that. Oh man, but like it's I think uniform, I don't know if it's just also possible like being quick, right? So I know a lot of people, especially if you're an adult, right, going into training, sometimes you just throw whatever you can in the back of your car, you just put that on and try to get the training because you're trying to get your hours in, right? But yeah, try not to overlook that, because no one likes to hug someone that's a stinky bug, man. No one likes that. You're probably going to get thrown around a lot more than usual to keep you far back in that distance.
Yeah, for a while I didn't understand. I was like, man, like my rash, I'm washing them, but they still stink. And so I had to like get myself on the schedule of, for one, take them out of my bag. First thing, take the rash guards out of your bag immediately. I don't even, like, after training, I don't even put them back in my bag. I like clip them on the side. So I remember when I get home, just put it in the wash right away.
That's probably a smart thing.
Yeah, go soak your gear. Soak your gear. If you're not going to wash it right away, I have this bucket to just soak my gear. So
oh, dang. Okay. Because it's like, I know with the quick, people do the quick, it's like, oh, have a breeze or like Lysol. So I know I used to have something like that like in my car, at least just for like some of the other gear that you can't obviously like wash and soak, like boxing gloves and stuff if you're in striking arts and everything, right? But like definitely for clothes, you can't get away with that. You can't get away. No Febreze, no matter what kind of commercial you watch for that, that's not getting rid of those germs or that stench and that germs and shit. Like you need to deep clean that crap real quick.
For sure, strip that.
But dang. Oh, and then especially, no one cleans the bag sometimes. Everyone clears the gear and the clothes, but it's the bag that's the thing that actually smells. So when you like open it up, it's like, and it's like a big wafting cloud. I've had instances where it's that, where like, especially if I was teaching kids particularly, right now, kids are not the most cleanest, like, beings in this planet at all. So it's like 10 times, 10 times the worse with that. But I remember like moving like sparring bags and stuff to make rooms on the mat when we're like setting up rings and everything for like sparring. And there's one kid's bag that I remember particularly, like he had all his gear out. So I'm just like, I'm being like a mom, just putting his shit back in there, right? And then the bag I opened up, like wafted out. I'm like, holy heck. And I'm like, whose bag is this? I like straight up like called out, like, who the heck's bag is this? You're moving that, because I'm not moving that right now. Oh, dude.
It makes you step back for a second. You're like, oh my gosh.
Dude, yeah.
There's been times, I mean, I've been guilty of that one too. Like, I had to put bags on rotation. I'm like, oh, this is when it's time for a wash.
Yeah, it's like we've been both on the receiving end of bad hygiene, and I've probably also been guilty at one point in our lives of also being responsible for the Kiaya or AJ. You gotta step back a little bit.
It happens, man. It's also super important to like keep I keep a toiletry bag in my bag so that if I do forget to put on like deodorant or something or brush my teeth, I keep all of that in the bag. I've been on the receiving end, like you said, and I've been the person guilty of it. So I'm like, all right.
Dude, honestly, yeah, like have toothbrush on you, nail clippers, man. Yo,
nail clippers.
I don't know how, like, yeah, some people just don't cut their nails, and I don't understand it. Like, me particularly, I don't like my nails long already to begin with, just because I feel like I have to scratch. And I mean, I have eczema too, so like if anything's irritant, like it flares up really badly. So I cut my nails already. I don't like any of that other shit. But like, there's some people that have some gnarly ass nails, and especially like, you're like, oh, about to grab or shake hands, or you're about to punch or grappling, and it's just like, what is underneath your fingernails?
Yo, it takes one time to get a really big scar for you to be like, hey, I need you to cut your nails.
Yeah. Like, no, don't do that. Toenails too, man. Yo, like kicking, especially kicking arts, like, I don't know. I've gotten cut randomly. I'm like, was that the Velcro of the gear? Like, no, that was that blade and whatever unregistered weapon that you have on your big toe right there. We need
to remove it.
Yeah, please remove it. Please cut that off. But ultimately, outside of just, good hygiene, not just for the sake of comfortability for the people around you, right? It is actually like for health reasons, right? Because,
Right.
You are going to be sweating, you are going to be doing stuff. And especially even with like this day and age right now, with like the whole pandemic passing and everything, like it's even more essential now than ever, really, just to keep clean and be aware of your own health as well.
Right. Staph infection is real. Ringworms, they're not nice. Yeah.
I've been lucky enough not to run into anything of that sort yet with that. Like especially with like grappling with judo and everything. Especially with people with the gis when we're talking about like not washing their clothes. There's some people that hang their gis and they just don't wash them for like months and months and months. And I'm like,
I hear there's a really big debate about whether you should wash your belt or not. I don't know. We don't wear a belt, but some people don't wash their belts. I don't know what the deal is on that one.
I mean, unless you're I wouldn't really wash. I mean, me personally, I don't see a reason to wash a belt unless, like, obviously someone throws up and bleeds on it or something like that at that point. Like, something, like, actually, like, humanly toxic. Like, okay, let's not do that. Not have the evidence of that on there still. But otherwise, usually in, like, normal courts, if you're just training and stuff, like, I don't see why you need to wash your belt. Just because, like...
I don't know.
Yeah, that's it, though. But I've never heard of, like, significant issues. It might also be just traditional things depending on like the art, I guess, and like the school background. But yeah, all in all, guys, just just keep yourself clean, a good hygiene, and you'll make everyone much more happier on the mat.
Yeah, and also don't come to practice sick. That's also a part of being
please don't. Yeah, please
hygiene.
do not. You feel like
spread germs.
Yes, if you feel like you have a cold, you feel like you have a fever, no matter what you think you do, like, oh no, exercising will help them out. No, go home. Just go home. Please go home.
Please.
Yeah.
So outside of being aware of how you're feeling, you need to also be aware of your own attitude, your own energy. Like, that's super important too when you come in to train. To just think about, like, all right, I know you got stuff going on at home, but come in with a positive attitude because everybody's there to, like, learn and figure out this thing.
Yeah. So, I think honestly, even I say from experience too, like the mat, the dojo, your school, whatever it is, wherever you train, like it really is a safe space for a lot of people to let out stress, but that doesn't mean you should act like an asshole when you're on the mat to like taking stress out on everyone else, right? So like just being self-aware, and obviously that comes with a little bit of maturity, right? And knowing yourself too, like I think martial arts is a really great vehicle, and if you're part of a great community and a great school, to kind of help be a better you, right? So yeah, definitely if you feel like you're a little bit hot-tempered, hopefully you have established some good connections in there that maybe you can talk after class or before class if you really need to about stuff. Yeah, because I know there's been situations like that, at least on my end. I don't know about like with Kiaya in particular, with maybe like similar experience or story with it.
Honestly, it's super rare. Again, that goes back to having like a really good culture in the gym and having good leaders that really cultivate a good culture. And so it's super rare that I run into people. Usually it's like the new person that's there to figure it out, there to like, prove they're the best. And usually they don't last long. That's the thing. Like if you want to maintain your time in the gym or you want to stay in the gym, you got to like start forming some good relationships and be nice to people. The thing about jiu-jitsu or just martial arts in general is it mixes a lot of different personalities, a lot of different backgrounds. And so you have to learn to not be such a hothead, learn how to like, just take stuff and let it roll off. And so, yeah, it's super important that you do that.
And that's like the beauty about, I feel like, martial arts. There's a lot of people that I feel like I would never have run into if I didn't train martial arts, honestly. Like, just because of either, like you said, different backgrounds, like even just different parts of the world and like talking to people. Even like if we're kind of getting into the grid of things, like just different economic backgrounds and stuff too, especially if like your school happens to also provide, like say, quote unquote, some kind of like scholarship for people that might not be able to normally afford like martial arts lessons. Like you get to meet so many different people from so many different backgrounds that I don't see how you couldn't learn how to be a better person, not for just other people, but for yourself too, and just getting different things. Do you happen to have like also like multicultural like people, I guess, coming in like into your your school? Because I know there's like, depending on the area of the martial arts school, sometimes it like, especially say Asian population, or I know there's like a Hispanic, like Korean population by a Taekwondo school that I used to like kind of swing by before during college years. And so that was cool, hearing the different languages and just different cultures. And I'm just like, oh snap, that's like really, really dope.
Nah, we so I'm in Alabama, and there's not a lot of diversity here, honestly. But there's like people from different backgrounds. You can tell culturally, they're from different backgrounds. We have the stoners and the officers, like the police officers, like all mixed together. We're all chilling. It's never an issue, but it's not like a lot of diversity in my gym.
Okay, I gotcha with that. But I mean, it's still good vibes in terms of. Still different,
Always.
Different experiences too. But I guess to keep the peace, right? It's just like know thyself.
Yeah, exactly.
Know thyself.
And it's okay. Like, it's okay to just choose not to train that day if you're feeling like, oh man, I'm not gonna be the nicest person on the mat. Like, don't mess it up for everyone else because you're having a bad day. And I mean, I'm saying that to myself too. There's some days where I'm like, hey, you gotta let this go before you go train, or you're not gonna go train. Like, I'm not in there to, make the experience terrible for anybody else.
Yes, just like a relationship. You don't bring the shit home. Don't bring the shit home.
Don't bring it to the dojo. Don't bring it to the gym, dude.
It's not their fault, man. It's not their fault. Just talk it out. Talk it out, man.
That kind of goes for the sparring too, though. Like, when you're sparring, I don't know if you've experienced this. Like, there are some times where, like, maybe like newer people, they'll get upset and they're just like, ready to go as hard as possible. Like, you gotta stay calm. I don't know if you've experienced any of that, but like, there are times.
No, like, I know many of the times too, it's either the bully or someone that's dealing with something. And usually I know if a person falls under a bully, they're probably dealing with stuff too, in a sense, unless they're like a complete asshole, obviously, at that point. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. That's not gonna fly. But yeah, majority of times, like, at least there's been, I mean, I might not have been, say, for the best person, but at least I know I would try to understand why a person would do that and try to help out and like say like, yo, like, what's up? That's not cool, right? Or if you have obviously instructors or good coaches, right, that would call out that behavior. So it's like, yo, dude, what's up, man? Like, right. you don't need to do this. Like, because you don't ruin it just for everybody else. You honestly ruin it for yourself for a chance to like grow and be part of something bigger than yourself too. And that's the sad part, Yeah. It's like on the like flip side. Sorry. Yeah. No, you're good.
Okay. Yeah. On the flip side of that, it's like you got to be able to like communicate and say, like, if you feel like a person is giving off that type of energy, you got to be like, hey, like, I don't want to train with you today. You just got to communicate sometimes. You got to be able to communicate and pick your training partners and just know, like, all right, this person is a little hot-headed sometimes. So my energy's not feeling that today. I'm not feeling that today. Today I came in here to do X, Y, and Z. This person is doing A, B, and C. So it's like, all right, not today. Some other day, that's fine.
Yeah, communication just saves a lot of headaches, not just in the mat, but in life too, guys. In life too.
Truly.
If anything, take away, communication is key. And just be able to communicate with yourself and communicate with other people how you are. So, which kind of brings us to our next point, which we're going to be going into right now. As we were kind of going into communication, sometimes there is a point in time where communication just turns into a lot of chit chatter, which brings us to our next point. If you are training with a partner, please don't talk too much. I know a lot of people use training as like sometimes a chance to obviously socialize with other people and everything. And that's great, right? But there's a point in time where just talking becomes a hindrance on your actual training, and it just makes it hard for people to focus, right?
Right. Yeah, there are times where, all right, you have to communicate, but for the most part, I think it's super important that we stay focused on what we're trying to learn. Like, I don't want to be talking about what you ate for breakfast while I'm trying to learn how to do this move. Like, I get it. There's a time to be social. I think that's probably more after practice or before practice. Whereas when I'm coming in the gym to like learn technique, I'm trying to like focus on that thing. So if we could communicate about that would be perfect.
Yeah, I also find it's like a lot of the times, and I know I've been guilty of this myself here in terms of talking. Sometimes I'm talking because I'm like, okay, I need to take a break for a second. I'm like, I need to catch my breath. We're gonna like hold up before you like throw me, or when you start doing holding pads and you start like blasting my shoulder off here. Let me like tell you about this. This is kind of related but not related point to save myself like 15 seconds, kind of thing.
Like a short commercial break.
but it does obviously hinder ultimately in the long run, like the value you can get from like the lesson in class, right? So it is in your best interest to communicate, right? But just not to overshare or just talk too much when really information is being given. And as well as like your partner, like you and your partner might miss some important information that involves safety too, right? Like your instructor might be telling you something like, hey, you should do this and not this if you don't want to break your neck or something like that. And you're like, oh, and you totally missed it because you're talking about last week's episode of, I don't know, what TV show is like popular now. I don't watch TV, guys. I don't know if you guys watch TV still.
Wednesday Addams?
Oh, Snap. Yeah, I have not seen any episodes of that, but that's been like all around the social media, man.
It's really good.
I've heard. But see, we're doing it now. We're supposed to be talking about the matches.
See? All right, and that's not to say sometimes you can't like talk and kind of make some jokes. I'm good. I make a lot of jokes during training. So I know we're all there to have a good time and learn and stuff. So I joke sometimes, but my biggest like pet peeve, I guess, or my biggest thing is like while the instructor is talking, we shouldn't be having a side conversation. I shouldn't be having to listen to you and the instructor at the same time. It's like, hey, show some respect, and like everybody in here is quiet. We shouldn't be gossiping and whispering and snickering off to the side.
Dude, it's like, I know certain classes sometimes have different like levels, right? So while you might know the material, your partner might not know it. So like, and everyone else in the class might not know it too. So just because you know it doesn't mean you should just obviously talk and like kind of push it off to the sideways. Like again, just showing respect, like you said, for your partner, people around you, like, yeah, let them absorb so that way everyone works. And then when everyone gets it, then you can kind of like talk and chat while you do your training. But you got to get the work in first, right?
Right. And I also think like the best martial artists that I know, even like they're black belts, they've been training for gosh knows how many, like for up to like 15, 16 years, and it's like they still sit and listen, and I know they've heard these lessons 1,000 times. You can always get something out of it, so it's nice to listen and not be the person that's leading the conversation and leading the just listen. Sometimes it's okay. You don't have to like over communicate all the time.
Yeah, it's that like I think, especially if you're a beginner, it depends on the personality too, I think, right? Some people are just more chatty than others. But I would like to say that sometimes the beginners do have a tendency to, I guess, first be quiet, then they get that beginner confidence, like, yo, I got this, I'm such a badass now, but then you're talking too much because you don't really understand yet that you still have sometimes even more to learn. And then there comes that point, I think, in the midway of your career when your body's already already used to like the movements and stuff, that like, oh, your mind's catching up with like, oh shit, like this is a lot harder. Actually, we're starting to get into more difficult concepts, advanced techniques and everything. And you kind of learn to shut up when you need to shut up, right? Right. At that point. So it's a process, definitely. But if anything, if there's something important going on in the mat, just chill, sit back, relax, and keep your ears wide open.
Right. Yeah. Another good thing to think about when you're considering like how you treat your training partners is just being able to respect them, whether that be like with their space, their time, whatever. Just respect that this is another human being that's here to do exactly what you came to do, and just respect that. Yeah,
like I don't. It's not a competition to begin with, and I know there's also like, because martial arts is it's physical, right? I think that if you have any social awkwardness in you, and I also am very socially awkward despite being in a career path right here that involves talking to random strangers online to a camera and also engaging with other people here. Kiaya, I'm pretty sure you relate to
Understood.
Yeah. Like sometimes there's certain social cues that you might not pick up or other people might not pick up in person, right? So again, that's why communication is always good, because at least you can communicate that. But with that communication being said, some people just don't get it still, and they kind of impose their presence when it's like, okay, I get we're supposed to be sparring or whatever it is, but like, yo, there's like you're this close to me, and I don't think this is how it's supposed to work here. Or like, there's also been instances where it's like people kind of trail you when it comes to drilling. Like they always like, oh yeah, you're gonna be my partner kind of thing. I don't know if you've had instances like that. It's like, oh, I'm gonna train with someone else, or it's like, okay, maybe not the best training partner for today, but you don't have to politely tell them that. It's like, next time, buddy, but I'm gonna try to work on here. But it's that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think I was super guilty of just feeling like I had to work with the new people or the women in the class for a really long time, even though like my goal set was like, hey, I need to go off to the other corner over there and work with some of these guys or some of these like competitors and stuff. I felt super guilty, and it wasn't necessarily an issue with like somebody trailing me. It was like, I don't know. I think it was more in my mind, and I had to be more self-aware of, oh, okay, I don't have to be over there. Even my coach would be like, hey, you need to go somewhere else. You don't have to be in this corner. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's fine. That works.
Yeah. It's that. And I think also like, there's still, I think, certain techniques, even, and Kiaya, you have a little bit more experience. You have, well, not a little bit more, you have a lot more experience in like grappling stuff than I do. But there's point in times, I guess, with like techniques where you're either like chest to chest or like during the chokes and everything. Like there's something about like just being aggressive and then just like manhandling someone for the sake of manhandling someone, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, I understand you have to like technically be like close the gap, right, for certain techniques. But there's a point where you're like, okay, dude, you're kind of getting like too much, or girl, whatever the heck it is. Like, okay, like loosen up, like give that space that you need there. And it's kind of like put yourself in their position and see if you would want to be dealt with the way that you're dealing with that person. The golden rule, right? The treat others how you want to be treated thing.
Right. And it's a drill. Like we should not be closing the skill gap with strength. And we should not be going 100% in the drill right there. Like we're trying to like feel, and it's honestly a lot of new people are just guilty of it, just not really knowing how to train just yet. Like you want to be strong enough and do it right so that when the instructor is watching you, that you get the thumbs up. And I've been guilty of that.
Same.
Yeah, but it's like, dude, we're not trying to close the skill gap with strength and athleticism. This is the time to break it down and do it slowly and make sure that you're making sure that your training partner is comfortable. I don't like when new people come in, especially like new women come in and they get with the super aggressive, sometimes it's another woman, the super aggressive woman or the super aggressive man.
Yeah.
And you can clearly see that they are not comfortable with that person being in their space. Dude. It's just like, dog.
No, honestly,
come work with me.
Yeah, just come here. I'll take care of you. Just breathe. Little lamb, be careful. We will grow you into a wolf. We'll ease you in first. We'll ease you in. Oh man, but like, I guess outside of like the space, right? Like you mentioned before, time, right? Like it kind of goes into some of the other points we made earlier. Like, okay, like don't be talking when like instruction's going on. Like if you're doing partner drills, and obviously it requires you to like get your butt over here after you get thrown or something like that. Like I understand being tired, right? But like there's a point where if you're just being lazy and you're taking your time and it kind of starts impeding on your partner like getting reps in and stuff, it's like, hey, yo, like their time is valued. Just because you feel lazy about your own stuff doesn't mean the person with you should have to suffer for it, right? If that's how you're going to be, then you train by yourself, I feel like, at that point, right? But otherwise, like if you're there to work, put in the work. Don't waste their time, don't waste your time too. Like that's
I really hate the person that's like, they'll sit there and listen to the instruction, and as soon as it's time to go drill, they're like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. And now I'm sitting there.
Oh my
like,
God, yo, that was like, I hate that. I hate that so much. I'm like, why? Yo, why? And oh man.
Please tell me about it. I know there's an instance.
I know there's some of y'all out here that like, sport karate don't really do like shit on that. Okay, like no, like it's an assassin art sometimes, like the accuracy and the speed and shit, and like just because of that, right? You need to get like hella drilling in there, and it's very fast paced. But there's always that one, especially when I was a kid, right? Kids are really, really guilty of this too when you're younger. It's like, oh yeah, Sensei's good. It's like, okay, we're gonna start sparring. Wait, my gear kind of came off. I need to fix it for like 30 seconds of the minute round that we have to spar together. And I'm kind of like, Mofo, what are you talking about? Like,
what do you mean?
Like, put your foot gear on at this point. Like, why are you spending time with it? Why is your hand gear flying off your hand? Like, there's Velcro on there for a reason. Like, why is your head... Like, oh my gosh, like, get your gear fitted properly then if it's not, like, staying on you, or duct tape it. Don't they do that at, like those amateur boxing matches and shit where they actually just start duct taping crap? I think I've seen a match where, like, the guy's headgear kept falling off during the match and they just decided to duct tape it to the guy's head for the rest of the whole duration of it. Like,
that's a surefire sign of, I'm tired and I need a little break, so I'm going to use this as an excuse to take a little break and breathe.
Dude, it freaking bothers the crap out of me, especially if I'm like, my adrenaline's going and I'm like, they're like, ready, go, like, stop. Like, why? I was about to like sidekick this person right over here. Why? Why are you stopping?
My shin pads are falling off.
Oh man.
What?
No. Don't do that. Oh jeez.
Yeah,
I know I'm guilty of that too from time to time, but I've had it where like so much more on my side and I'm just like, yo, don't do this shit right now. Do not do this. We're here to work. Do not avoid this sparring incidents right now.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, but I need to let me take a break and get some water real fast. And they're over on the side of the mats with their phone and sipping water, and I'm sitting over there just won't get any drills in on this technique. Just waiting and stuff.
Just practice like fighting a an invisible man. You're getting yourself tossed. Just like throw yourself over.
doing my own drills with the air.
Oh
yeah. That's a super important one. That one doesn't happen to me as often, but there have been times where it's like irritated me. And don't get me wrong, I know everybody has to go to the bathroom and stuff. Like I've had to stop and go to the bathroom. That's fine.
Please go to the bathroom when you have to go to the bathroom during this stuff. Please go to the bathroom when you're doing
good hygiene.
Back to the good hygiene. Like you gotta. Don't hold that shit in. Like literally do not hold that shit in. You will we do not want bombs happening randomly while you are like jumping up and down. No.
Please.
Okay. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. That was a really good point. Good hygiene, guys. Go to the bathroom.
Back to that point over there. But yeah, like you say, people have to go like run, do their thing, right? People have to go
I literally run to and from I'm like, all right, I'm super conscious of this person's time and of my time. Like, I'm there to learn, especially if you're paying to be there. Like, go and get your drills in. Come on. Yeah. What are you doing?
Oh, dude. But it's that, right? So, like, the time there, just, like, try not to dawdle, right? Like, everyone's there to work. And then, obviously, at that point, it kind of brings us back to the whole, like, respecting your, like, your partner's space. It kind of goes, just be aware of your surroundings, too. Obviously it is a physical sport of the sort, so like you're going to be either, if you're punching or kicking, you're throwing someone, I don't know, swinging a weapon of sorts, like you're not the only person on the mat, so don't act like it, because you're just going to end up either whacking someone without you knowing, when obviously you should have known of sorts. It's a safety issue too, right? Like you're not what do they call it, just like the king of the hill here. Like everyone's sharing the space, so kind of just be conscious of that.
Yeah. They're the worst accidents, or like the times where people get hurt and kicked and stuff like that. That happens when people are not being aware of their space. When they're just, I get it, it's physical and you're both in tune with each other at the moment and you're not really worried about your surroundings, but you definitely should be. Especially like there are times where it's like, oh man, we're rolling off the edge of the mat. Stop. I don't care what submission I have you in right now. Like, let's stop, let's restart. We can restart wherever, but like, I'm not trying to roll off the mat to get the submission. Like, we could get hurt. Seriously, this is not a competition.
Yeah. I honestly find it like pretty impressive if you ever have, I think any martial art that obviously has like a lot of partner drills going on at once, especially if it's like a very confined space. Like you can fit like maybe like 10 pairs on like a tiny mat, but you will never see, if it's a really, really good school and like obviously a higher level class, sometimes you will never see anyone really like bump into each other unintentionally. And you'll see some crazy like rolling matches or sparring matches happen, and they'll just miss each other somehow with it. And you're just like, holy heck, like that's some amazing shit. But it's also because like your situational awareness and just being aware of the surroundings, and also obviously the control and time put into the art as well, you know. Right.
Yeah, it definitely comes with time. All of this, like learning to respect your partners and pick up on the cues and not talking too much, really it comes with time. But you just gotta have those things in mind. You gotta have that respect there to even just think about someone other than yourself. So definitely respect your partners, guys. The season of love.
Yeah, season of love, right? We were just talking about respecting your partner, right? Now, I know Kai just mentioned right before we moved on to this point here is the whole, like, paying attention to your partner's signals. Now, guys, we are not that kind of podcast in regards to, like, talking about those intimate moments that you might have with your significant other, your loved one, and stuff. So you might want to save that talk for the bedroom later tonight. But if we're talking about martial arts, understanding your partner signals is very, very important still. So very, very important in that case right there. Month of love, man. Month of love. But we gotta love the martial arts first right now for this chat.
Right.
So I guess first point, right? Like just paying attention to your partner's like body language and just like breathing and everything of the sort right now. We've mentioned already that people can come from all different backgrounds. You probably can work with people with different levels too, right? So while you might be okay doing a particular drill of sorts and kind of going really hard and intense consistently, your partner might not be able to do that, right?
Right. And then you can usually tell by the way they're breathing, or if the shoulders are slumped, or if the head is down. You're just like, okay, they're not really into this right now. Like, let's slow it down. Let's kind of communicate again. There's that key point, communication. Let's communicate. Ask if they're okay. Ask them, like, what do they need? Are they not understanding it? Or do I need to, like, slow it down? Yeah. That's super important to do.
There's a whole thing about, like, obviously, yes, you are there to train for yourself too, but obviously because if you're with a partner, and again, kind of going back to the whole, like, you know, like February, you know, theme, love and relationship stuff, you kind of have to give and take, right? All love here, but you got to give and take, right? So if you're working with someone as a team, right, you need to make sure that you can both go at a pace that benefits each other, right? It can't be lopsided, otherwise like you're not going to get the work that you want and the other person definitely is not going to be getting any work, and it honestly could be discouraging, right? I think I've been in situations, especially just being a female, right? Like, and a lot of martial arts, I would like to say a lot of these martial arts schools that I've been in have been predominantly male, and when I want to get like good work in, there's a big physicality difference sometimes when it comes to the strength and everything, right? And it does kind of like, okay, dude, like, I can't punch as hard as you, sorry, but like, I'm trying my best trying to keep up, or like if I'm holding pads and the guy's like, I don't know why I got partnered with a guy that was like twice my size.
Sometimes it happens, man.
Sometimes it happens, but like it's there, and like I feel bad too, because I'm like, I understand he wants to like get his work in, but it's like I can't do it. So you have to find a medium and communicate so that way both parties are happy. It's hard sometimes, right?
Yeah, and fast is not always the answer. Fast doesn't mean you're doing it well.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I took that out.
Not again. This is not that type of podcast, guys. Whoa,
Anyway, we're talking about martial arts, guys. We're talking about the drills, guys. We're talking about the drills.
For the drills.
Yeah, for the drills. Back on topic. Yeah, sorry.
Smooth is fast. For the drills. The smoother you can do, the easier it'll come. The better the technique will be.
Yeah, technique first. That's what I usually tell people first. Technique first. The speed and the power will come later on as you kind of develop that, right?
Right. And you can learn from anybody. Like, it's really, you're there to get better, and the better you can make your training partners, the better you can get. So it's like, okay, yeah, you might look cool hitting the pad this fast, but like your training partner is confused. So it's like, slow it down. I mean, if you can get them to understand later on in your career or later on in your journey, this person could be a really valuable training partner for you. So just think about that when you're out there with, hitting hitting the pads or
I
doing the
think,
drill.
yeah, I honestly think those moments, as long as your instructor is okay with it, are great opportunities to kind of test your own knowledge and skill set in terms of teaching and helping someone else understand something that they may not. And like, there's that whole saying that like if you teach something, you kind of learn it twice over in a sense. Just because like again, it's like how in depth do you actually know the technique that you can properly communicate it to someone that doesn't know anything or is just completely oblivious to the information? Can you really break it down? Can you have them translate what you're saying into the drill or the technique that you're doing, right? So there's a benefit that can come out of it if there happens to be a skill set gap between the two, right? But you got to just read that. So like you said, you know, body language, obviously, in regards to just whether they're getting or not. Injury, honestly, that's the one thing too, is just being aware that someone might be hurt. And I think we've all been there too, where we're just kind of gritting our teeth and like, this doesn't hurt kind of thing. But it can run into like longer term issues and injuries that can prevent you from training ultimately. Like, I don't know if you've had situations like that particularly.
Yeah, there are like little nagging injuries that eventually turn into, oh man, like even, so one of my students yesterday, he had been talking about how his shoulder was bothering him, and yesterday it actually popped out of place, and yeah, and he just lay there for a second. I'm like, hey, you gotta like, he said it always does that, but this time it like actually popped out, and so it's like, yeah, but honestly, I understand. I understand wanting to train and stuff like that, to train with your injuries or, like, you know, but you got to kind of be, again, goes back to you being self-aware also. So, like, you got to know, and you need to, again, communicate.
See, self-awareness, communication, and good hygiene. Those
are the keys. Those are the keys.
For a happy, on-the-mat relationship with whoever you're with at that point in time. Oh, man. So, I mean, ultimately, right, like, in terms of just paying attention to your body's, like, body language and everything, like, encouragement, right? So, like, if you, depending on the reception of, like, what they're doing, whether it be an injury, whether it be just emotional, like emotionally just down kind of in dumps or just not really in it with the drill, like it doesn't ever hurt. And like you said, just to have good vibes and being able to spread those vibes to other people, right?
Yeah, especially if it's a new person coming in. You wanna like support them as much as possible. You want to encourage them as much as possible. You want to kind of give them some tips and stuff. But I have this, I got this rule from one of my striking coach. He's like, I only tell them how to do something correctly 3 or 4 times. After that, it can be a little nagging. It can be like they're clearly not receiving it in the way that you want it to be received. So it's like, just encourage them or just tell them that they're doing this one part right. Like, don't be the person that's just like, no, you're not doing this part right. Do it like this. Well, now you're becoming the instructor. You have to just encourage and support what they are doing right, as opposed to like trying to perfect what they're doing. The new person is not going to get it like that, you know?
No, I gotcha. There's like, it's that, like you said with that, like, you're not the instructor at that point in time unless you're put into that, you know, that role right on the mat. If you're not the instructor, you really shouldn't be trying to take that role unless they're already assigned to you for it. And just being there, I think a lot of people honestly just do better knowing that someone's there, even if they are kind of messing up still and trying to figure things out, knowing that like, okay, it's a safe space to be able to do that and kind of figure out what you need to do. So as long as you're there, it's just like the presence, sometimes just good presence is key to like changing someone's day.
All right, last point here. We all know of a person, if you've been training for a while, that's there to win every single drill. I would say we're there to practice, not to win the drills. And when I say win the drills, I mean the person that's like, you know, trying to defend the thing that we're practicing. Like, if you're trying to defend during the drills and that's not a part of the drills, like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I'm not learning because you're like, well, if I put my hand up like this, then
that definitely that sounds like someone did this to you.
Man, it's usually just new people, you know, you're there trying to figure out what it is. But yeah, there are times where you're like, dude, you are resisting way too much. I'm trying to get a feel for this thing. Later on, we'll work under resistance, but right now we're trying to learn and get a feel for a specific move. So
no, it's like it's ultimately that, right? Like, the only thing you're really doing at that point, if you're trying to win, is just win more to feed your ego. And like honestly, a martial arts should be is a sport and art, however you want to like perceive it, right? As a thing, not necessarily to just, while it might be originally made to like, you know, like fight or defend yourself or like, you know, fight other people and win those kind of situations, right? Like there's that internal factor that I think now we've been blessed to be able to have now, where like we don't have to fight for our lives, most of us, really, right? And we can use it as like internal self-reflection too, right? The only thing you're really fighting for when it comes to those situations and you're working with someone else is just fighting for your own ego, and ultimately no one likes a like person with a big ego, man, right? Like we all have egos, everyone does have them from time to time, but like you're not helping anyone by winning something that is literally in the situation of you either having to win or like you trying to defend, not to look like you're the weak person or something like that. Like it doesn't do any benefit with it, right? Like there's situations already made for that, like with sparring, if you really want to test it out for that. But if you're there to practice, right, like we just said, practice, get better with that. Use the time for like self-awareness, self-reflection, like what you need to get better at, what you need to do, right? And you're dealing with another person, so just respect that space too. Like if you were in that person's shoe and you were acting that, and they were acting that way to you, would you really enjoy your time there and really be getting anything out of it? Really think about it.
Right. And you got to kind of be honest with yourself too. It's like, all right, am I using my attributes to win this thing? Especially in like situational sparring, there are some times where we do some situational sparring and it's meant to be slowed down but give you real looks. And so my coach always says, he's just like, hey, go about 40% and take all of your attributes out. So it's not about speed. It's not about how strong you can be. It's literally about the movement. And if you're not honest with yourself about how much strength and how much speed and how much of your like whatever attributes you're using, then you don't really get much out of the drill. Of course, you can add those things back in later on when we're doing like live sparring or doing competition. Especially use all your attributes during competition. Yeah. But not doing the drilling, especially like the situational sparring. It's like, dude, calm down. It's okay to lose this one if you're not sure about the movement. It's okay. That's how you get better. That's how you help your training partners get better. That's how you help the room grow. Like you'll help the room grow if you just, drop the ego for a little bit and be okay with losing.
Yeah, because like you said, if you help the room grow, ultimately that means like you're not the only one like getting better, right? Everyone's getting better, so that means you guys can build off of each other, and therefore you all get better and even higher than you probably could do by yourself, right? It's ultimately just like a community effort, a team effort, especially on the mat with it. And if you happen to be blessed to have like say a regular training partner, obviously with you, I would like to think if your training partner gets better, then you get better too. It's a win-win situation when you work that way. So like, yeah, take the L's occasionally, right? Like you can always put yourself in the more, I guess, not necessarily like submissive end of things, but just more like if you need to be the punching dummy or the throwing dummy for a little bit, just for someone else to understand so they can get work. Like you learn a lot, like you said, like about yourself and also can help your partners like basically get better too. So
yeah, for sure,
one of those things. But it's not saying that you shouldn't strive to be great. It just be reasonable with it. That's the thing.
Yeah. Like of course everybody wants to win, right?
Yeah.
Of course we all want to win the thing. We all want to win. Like who doesn't want to win the thing? But there are times to like drop it. There are times to focus on winning the drill or winning the situational sparring when we're going 100% or 90%, whatever. But yeah, drop it. Don't.
Sorry. Like
no, you're okay.
Yeah, I was going to say like I would think like for you, since you do fluctuate between just like obviously normal training and then getting competition ready training, right? There's different bouts of intensity that you probably have to go through regularly to prep, be it the couple weeks before the actual competition, and then obviously off-season stuff where you might be more casually, a little bit more, not say like casual, but a little bit lower, less maybe less intensive of sorts, where you're trying to be like, okay, Kai has to be killer mode right now.
Yeah.
And the way that you're like on like beast in like your competition and stuff with the video and everything, I would imagine you'd have to like turn it on and you have like very serious training days, right? And then other days are just like, okay, you gotta chill out, just chill out for a little bit.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So in my gym, I don't know how this season started. We have what's called killing season. And it's literally, and that to me is like, all right, it's time to turn it on. It's time not to win the drills, but to the rolls and stuff. It's like I'm turning up the intensity. There are times for that. And it's super important that you're aware of what season a person is in. Because I've trained multiple times a day, multiple times, for most of the week. Some days I cannot go hard. Like some days are like, I need to ramp down a little bit because I did have 3 training sessions yesterday. So I can't come in and go hard with these. And so it's just like, dog, you have to be mindful of what season your partner is in. Hey, are you going hard today? Cool. I don't want to roll with you today. It's okay to say that.
Yeah. It really ultimately is.
Yeah. Are you trying to get a flow roll? All right. No, I'm looking to go hard today. Let me find a training partner that's there for what I'm there for. And so it's important to say that. And, just communicate. Again, back to communication. Back to respecting your partner. And, sometimes you're there. Sometimes you are there to win. Sometimes you're not there to win. And that's okay.
Yeah. That's all it is, guys. Just, being aware of that and, understand at least practice, right? The goal is to practice. And if you can at least take something positive from that, that's good. And that's a wrap for today's Mat Chat. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode on how to be a better training partner. Hopefully you guys took some tips from this. And if you guys have anything particularly that you'd like to share with us that you've kind of thought about while watching this, please let us know in the comments below. Our goal is to release a new episode every month. So if you have any other topics or guests you'd like for us to interview throughout the year, let us know. Again, comment down in the YouTube video below. Hit us up on Discord, and we're always down for suggestions. And of course, please check out our socials. Kiaya, where can people actually follow you?
Yeah, so you can follow me on all the socials, IG and TikTok at Kiaya.J, and on Facebook and YouTube at Kiaya J. And also, for all your training needs, check out train.kiaj.com.
Sweet. And of course, if you guys are ready to subscribe to the channel here, you guys can find all my social links and stuff in the description below, ajkick101.com. And obviously, support martial arts content creation on patreon.com/ajkick101. But guys, thank you so much for listening. And as always, remember, keep on kicking, and we are bowing out. Bye.
Boom.